Hey everyone, welcome to my new tree stand. No, just kidding. I'm up on top of the pole barn right now. So I am at roughly 14 feet. This board here is 14 feet from grade. Okay? So while I'm standing up here, I'm looking around thinking, you know, I've had people tell me that they go 30 feet in a tree to hunt deer, and I think they're nuts. You know, because here at 14 feet, this would be more than enough. This would be plenty high to go up, you know. If you look around at my trees here, there ain't a tree here that you could go up 30 feet and be safe in, okay? The only ones I have would be these big oaks back here behind the garage, which are all dead, which I wouldn't climb anyhow, because you wouldn't know when the branch is going to break. Or these big white pines that I took down here. Otherwise, there ain't a tree on this property that you can go 30 feet in. So, anybody tells you they're up 30 feet, you just tell them they're nuts, because you don't need to be that high. I'm already a little skittish here just at 14 feet, you know. But I want to show you what I made here is over the last 2 days here, I made a catwalk. And that's what I'm standing on right now. And the reason I made that is this is going to make it a lot easier for us to get the roof metal up here, the trusses up here, and whatever, that we're going to have a place to stand. So what I'm going to do is I predetermined that these poles need to be 10 inches. 10 inches above this board where the truss sits on. So the way I calculated that was off of the truss itself. I measured in, this is 8 inches here, right? No, I'm sorry, 7 inches. 7 inches in, and then I measured the truss, and that came out to 10 inches. Okay? So, in theory, if this pole was 20 feet, and I'm 4 feet in the ground, and then this here board is at 14 feet, I should have 2 feet left over. So I am at 21 inches. Okay, so that's 3 inches less than 2 feet. So that means my pole is actually about 3 inches extra deep below grade into the ground, which is great. That's what we're looking for. So we're gonna cut these off at 10 inches above this board. All right. And then I have to notch this yet so that the truss kind of sits on the pole itself, not on this board. Basically is what I'm doing. So once I get these cut off at 10 inches, then I'm going to just like screw another board on top here so that we have kind of a little, like a handrail here that we can just kind of hold onto as we walk. When you're standing here like this, or if the truss is here, you know, you'll be able to work fine, you know, because you've got something to lean up against. But right now, there's really nothing except for this board. So when I walk from here to where the camera is there, I kind of bend down and hold on to this board just in case, you know, because in case you slip or whatever, you got your hand on something. But I want to cut these off at 10 inches and then put a board across each one. And then we got at least like a little handrail up here. And that'll help when we get to start bringing the trusses up and everything, and make everybody feel safer, you know. So the best way for me to do this, I think, is going to be sitting down. But let me measure this one first. So I got my 10 inches marked all the way around, and then I marked 1.5 inches in. I marked the 1.5 inches in, and we're gonna cut that off. All right, so I don't think you can see that on the camera, but basically I got my 10-inch mark, 1.5 inches in here, and then this here is where I'm gonna cut to, and I'm gonna cut that notch out of there. Okay, let's go get the saw, and we'll give her a whirl here. Like I said before, I think I'm better off sitting down for this. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so none of this really has to be that perfect, okay? So, I mean, my chainsaw walks a little bit, but once we get the truss on up here, you know, we can cut this off a little more if we have to. When we see it, I'm just cutting it off so I have less of this area to cut. When I cut this other cut. That's not too bad. All right, there it is. A little rough, but it looks pretty straight. So that's where the truss is going to sit. And that should measure. Yeah, it measures right at 1.5 inches. So, like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Once you get that all screwed in up here, you know, it ain't going to show up. So, right, I got 4. Got 9 more to do. Okay, so I got this side all ready to go. I even put a little railing up there now so that you can just walk along with your hand on it on top of the 10-inch pieces. And it makes you feel better that you got your hand on something when you're walking on them planks. So the only one I have to work on is this one here. Of course, I just sharpened my chainsaw before I went up there, and I got to this one here, and there's a nail in there where I screwed up a board, that top board. So of course that nail is right where I'm trying to cut, and I hit it with the chainsaw before I realized it was there. So now I got to go up there with a metal blade and on the Sawzall and try and get that nail cut out and get that piece off of there. Otherwise we're good to go on this side. So on this side here, I still have some planks up here that I have to screw down, get them tied down to them things, and then do the same thing on this side. Cut the notches in all these posts. So the end ones, I don't know if you noticed, the end ones do not get the notch. The end ones just get cut off at 10 inches, and the truss sits on the outside of this end post. Same with on that end, the truss sits on the outside of that post. So it doesn't look like we're going to get away from the rain here today. It is raining. It's been raining for a little while already. So I think I'm going to call it quits for today, and we'll get up here on this side tomorrow and get this finished up. And then once I'm done with that, then I got to get my trusses ready and see if I can lift them up there. I made a hook the other day. So let's look at this hook once. So I made this hook. Okay, there's one here and there's one over here, and then there's two down here at the bottom. All right, so the truss will sit in them hooks, and then this piece right here will hook up into my tractor adapter that I made. It's a long pole, and it'll hook into there, and hopefully with the tilt of the forks and the length of it, I will be able to reach over the top of that and set them trusses in there. But I haven't tried it yet, so we got to get this other stuff done tomorrow, and then we'll try that this thing here I made later on this week, and hopefully if it works, we'll be putting trusses up right away. If it doesn't work, then I got to go back to the drawing board. So we'll see you tomorrow. So let's just talk about this corner bracing for a little bit. I didn't really explain any of this yet. So what I did after I had the poles up and the purlins, or sorry, the girts on, is I came over here with my level and I checked this post. So this post is off just a little bit, just a little bit, okay? So then I went down and I checked the other post down there, and it was off a little bit, just the opposite way. So what I did is I put a strap on there, and I just pulled it a little bit until I had these both ends a happy medium on the level, okay? If it wasn't straight to start with, which it wasn't perfect because the posts are so crooked, you know, it's never going to be level, you know what I'm saying? So I found a happy medium between the two ends, you know, so they're equally as crooked, if you want to use that term. All right, and it ain't by much. It's you know, the bubble's touching one line but not the other, so they're not off by much, okay? So I found a happy medium between the two end posts, and then I put these braces on, and those braces are going to hold it laterally this way. And now I got to put a brace on this one here from this bottom up to there, and I will do the same thing, but there is no place to put a brace on the other side over here because of the garage door. So you're only putting one brace here this way, and then one on that end, same place. So while I'm waiting for it to dry up here, I'm gonna finish this last one here and see what it looks like. Let me put my level up there once. So that is actually better than the other direction. If anything, it needs to come this way a little bit. So let me check this other post down here. So when I put the level on that post, it is just the opposite of this post. So it's saying both of them need to come in, which is impossible to do now because you have the boards on. So seeing they're both exactly the same, off by a little bit, I am just going to leave it right where it is, and I'm going to put that brace up. So let me get going on that. I'll get that brace up, and hopefully it's going to dry up enough that I can get these both of these ladders up and get this side finished today, and then we can start getting the trusses on. So let's just talk about these ladders for a second here. So this ladder is my first aluminum ladder that I bought. I probably purchased it somewhere around 1984. And in that same time frame in the 1980s, my buddy Larry was building a log cabin over by Silver Creek, Wisconsin. And he borrowed the ladder, and he ended up having to replace it because he fell off the ladder and landed on it and bent it like a banana. And how he did that was he had a piece of wood stacked under one leg because his ground was uneven, much like I have here. His ground was uneven, so he couldn't get the ladder straight. So he had a block of wood under there, and it gave way, and he came down with the ladder and landed on it. So every time I put a block of wood under my leg of my ladder, I always say to myself, I'm pulling a Larry here. Sorry, Larry, I have to pick on you a little bit. So the other ladder I have here, this was Barb's ladder. She had it up here at the property when I met her, and that has also been replaced. One of the neighbors borrowed it, and I'm not even sure what happened to it that time, if it got drove over by something or what. But he came back with a new ladder and said sorry, he had to replace it. So they go through a lot. This one here is pretty much at the end of its rope. It's been bent. It's been bent again. I think it's up on the top there, it's bent. And I don't even remember how that got bent again, but the rope's gone and I should replace the rope, and I haven't because I really don't use them that much anymore. I use these little ones for that I showed you the other day. I use those little ones for most of what I do. But those little ones aren't tall enough for what I'm doing now, so I had to resort to both of these ladders. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that story with you, that be careful with your ladders. I always tie them off. I have that one tied off. I have a strap around it at the top, and I have a rope at the bottom so the bottom can't kick out. And I will do the same to this one as soon as I get all this situated up here that we're ready to put the trusses on. I will tie this one in somewhere too, so that we can climb up both sides without having to worry about the ladders moving and whatever. And but I'm gonna get this brace on first, and then we'll continue with that. I dug a hole under one leg so I didn't have to pull a Larry on this one. So basically what I'm doing is I position this so that the point of it after I cut the angle will be at the top of this skirt, and same at the bottom. And I screwed it in down there to hold it in place, and I just make my mark. It gives me my angle, and I go down on the bottom and do the same thing. So then this one here, I have it positioned so it's right at the bottom of my grade board, and then I take and I cut a little corner off so that my rat board will fit underneath it. All right, so let's go get that cut and we'll get it hung up. So if I did it right, this piece should sit right here. I should have about 1.5 inches underneath it for my rat board. And then the top up there should be right at the top of that girt. So it looks pretty good. So all I got to do now is nail it in. So we are using the 3-inch galvanized ring shank nails for this. And basically what we do is we nail it to all these girts, and that ties everything together so that the building can't move side to side. Okay, so the bracing's in. It's the only bracing that goes on here now, except for on the roof. Once we get the trusses up, there are what they call wind braces that go diagonally from the peak over to the second post, you know, the second post here. And not really sure how those go in yet. According to their print, they go on top of the rafters but under the purlins, and that's physically impossible to do. Excuse me. So I'm really not sure how those go up there yet. I'm gonna have to do a little research on that and figure out how those wind braces up on top go in there. But for right now, that's it for the walls. I got to get this finished up here, the post finished, cut this side off, and then we'll get going on the trusses. Well, I had to resharpen the chainsaw after I hit that nail yesterday. So we'll get up there, we'll see how it does once. Well, it's going pretty good up there. I got almost 4 of them done before my batteries went dead. It seems to be struggling with that treated wood, and I don't know why, but I'm also struggling with a bad blade, right? You hit nails, I don't care how good you are with sharpening it, you can't replace a tooth that's not there, or you can't fix the tooth that's missing. So it's giving me a little bit of a rough cut. There was one with a big knot up there. It kind of walked around that knot, so I had to work on that one for a little bit. But I almost got 4, so if I charge these up, I'll get the rest done. And it's going pretty good. I get a little jittery up there because the wall is moving when you're walking up there. And once I get the hand railing up, like I did yesterday on this one, once I get that hand railing up, got a piece of wood in my mouth, then I can walk better up there because it's right at standing height, you know. So for now, I'm a little jittery, you know, and I don't do this stuff every day, so that's why I'm a little jittery. But even a guy that does it all the time, I think if you're not a little jittery up there, then that's at the point where you're not going to be safe anymore. So you gotta be a little jittery. You gotta think about what you're doing. Make sure you're stepping where you're supposed to be stepping, that type of stuff. But I mean, it's only 14 feet, but that's a guy like me, that's gonna hurt when I fall, you know. But all right, we're gonna get these batteries charged up, and we'll get back to this later. All right, I finally got that all done. The batteries were a struggle, obviously, but whatever, it is what it is. Like I always say, you know, I love this saw, but as soon as you pinch that blade a little bit, or you got a dull chain or whatever, it's it eats up the batteries like it's going out of style. So I was just about able to get not quite 2. Yesterday I was getting almost 3 on one battery. Today I wasn't even getting 2. So, and that's because I damaged the chain. So it's still cutting, but it's struggling, you know. So all right, I'm waiting for some screws. Barb went to an appointment, and she's gonna bring me back some screws, and then I'll get that railing finished up there, and then we're good to go. We're ready for the trusses. All right, so the first one went up this morning, and it went okay. I had to remake my hook, sorta. I don't know if you can see it from there, but I'll show it to you later. Basically what I did is I took those long bars off that I had on there, and I just made one short bar, and I opened up the hook so I had more space to get in and out. I had it way too tight. I couldn't get it hooked up, and then once it was hooked up, they started bending right away. The pole started bending, so I ended up adding a chain over the top to transfer some of the weight, and that worked now. So this was the highest one because I'm in the lowest area over there. So the rest of these, once I get up here in the middle, should be easy. I shouldn't say that, but I should be able to reach easy. I barely reached that, so I would have had to extend the pole a little further yet if I wouldn't have been able to reach that, but I got it up there. So I got both corners screwed in. It lined right up. I barely had to push on the pole a little bit to get the edge lined up. So my dimensions are pretty good there, I think. I think this should go relatively easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some pieces for that's supposed to be my spacing there, which is 9 feet minus 3, whatever. Yeah, something like that. So that when I put the second one up, because the second one there's nothing holding it in the middle, so I'm going to put a board in there just to hold it temporarily until we can get some of the purlins on and that type of stuff. So I think I'm going to put up the 2, then I'm going to put those purlins on, because those are 12 footers, because it's a 2-foot overhang and then 9 foot, so they gave me 12 footers. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put the 2 up, get the purlins on, and those 2 will be stationary, then put the next 2 on, and then put the 20-foot purlins on, and then keep going that way. I think that's how I'm going to do it. That way everything gets tied in right away, and it's not up there wobbling. Even though we haven't had any bad weather, heaven forbid a storm would come up right in the middle of putting these things up or something, you know. But what I got to do is I got to move my ladder and get over here and put some screws in the front face to hold those up, and then nail them in, and we're good to go. Well, that's 2 up there. So they're actually going pretty easy. It kind of sucks climbing up and down the ladders and whatever, but for me doing it by myself, it's going pretty easy. I have to say that much. So let's take a look at my little thing I made here. So this piece here, you saw me make that. I made a video of it, making that. That's an adapter for a hitch and whatever, so I can just go pick up a trailer and move it. But then I got 3 pieces of tube together here. 2-inch tube, I believe it was 3/16 wall. Okay, could have gone with 1/4-inch wall, would have made it a lot stiffer. But it started to bend right in this area here. It started to bend, so that's why I added the other piece here and the chain. I don't know if you've ever seen a jib crane. That's how jib cranes are made. They have a bar actually that's welded on over the top like that. And what that does is that takes the weight way out here on the end. It takes that weight and transfers it back here to where the strength is, you know. So I just have a turnbuckle on there, and then this is the hook I made. I redid. So I had to change this angle. It wasn't tipped enough. So when I'm straight up, you know, when I'm straight up with my forks, then this is kind of sitting flat right here. This area is sitting flat. And it's working good. So yeah, don't look at the welds. They're kind of buggered up. I had a big gap here. That's why this weld looks so shitty, but whatever, it's holding. Nothing's broke so far. So let's see. I think I'm gonna put up the 3rd one yet, and then we'll see where we go from there. I want to get a couple of purlins up here between the two, because that seems really flimsy up there right now. So I'd like to get a couple of purlins on there, just so that it's held together a little bit. Maybe one of these braces in here. And that right there, folks, is how you put up trusses. So, remember I told you the poles were a little crooked, you know? So I'm up there trying to pry that into place so it lines up with the outside board there. And it isn't much. It doesn't take much with a hammer and a screw screwed in there. And doesn't take much to move it. So I'm thinking I'm pretty darn close no matter what. This one took a little bit more than the other one, but you know, whatever. It all depends which way they're bent, right? All right, so I think that's going to be it for this week. If you like these videos, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And hope to see you on the next one. We will get the rest of these trusses up and then we will start on purlins.